Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to make this video because for years I've been coaching people that have constantly said to me, hey, I've been doing therapy for a really long time and it's just not working. I'm still faced with the same problems over and over again. What's up with that? Now, hear me out. Therapy is great and it can absolutely help in many different ways. You're probably going to gain some clarity on a situation that you're in. You're going to hopefully understand more about yourself and the other people that you're in relationships with. Hopefully, you're also going to start practicing having more self-awareness, which is absolutely huge. You might learn some really great coping mechanisms to help you with whatever it is that you're struggling with. Hopefully, it's going to help you to also process some of the trauma that you have been through and even process your emotions that you feel regarding some of the things that you've been through. Releasing those emotions and how you feel, sometimes we need to do that because we're not taught how to do that by ourselves growing up. So therapy is extremely important for those things. But if therapy is not fully helping you, then chances are you're getting the emotion out, which is great, but you're still feeling stuck. You're still not feeling like you're making progress. So all you're really doing when you go to therapy is just getting validation. Validation is huge because chances are you're not giving it to yourself. So you're sitting on the couch and you're sitting in that either ego state, victim state, or just your inner child state where you're feeling all of the heartache, sadness, frustration, anger, everything that you're not able to really process in real time when it's happening or just by yourself. So you go to therapy because you know that you're going to sit in this chair and this person is going to hold a space for you. And when this person holds a space for you, they give you the one thing that you're not giving yourself, which is validation. You're receiving non-judgment, and you're receiving someone who's just there to listen, to hear you, to let you release, and to validate every single feeling that you're feeling. Now, while all of that is great, nothing really ever changes in terms of how you feel about yourself and your life in general. You're still going, getting the same results, feeling the same way, and this is where people will say, okay, I'm getting stuck. Like, I'm tired of talking about the past. I've cried all my tears. Like, what's next? You might even feel relief after going to a session, but it somehow just keeps reinforcing this same narrative that you're the victim or that this person did this or that this person has a personality disorder. And it just keeps reinforcing this narrative that now you're trying to get away from because you no longer really need that validation any longer. So since nothing is really changing and you're just reliving the same story and narrative over and over again, this becomes extremely frustrating. And this is usually when you stop going to sessions. Now, for the other person who doesn't stop going to sessions, this actually just starts feeding the ego because you know that you're going to get validated. You're going to get validated. You're going to have someone agree with you. You're going to have someone make you feel as though you absolutely are the victim and they're not helping you to really navigate through that situation. So you yourself can learn what you need to learn in order to grow and get better. So it's a slippery slope between, yes, you need that validation, yes, you are a victim, but you don't want someone keeping you in a victim state. So if you do know someone who perhaps has a personality disorder, whether it's like borderline, maybe narcissism, a lot of the reasons why they'll continue to go session after session to the same therapist is because they're getting soul validation. They're also not getting anyone that's actually holding them accountable. And this is the downfall sometimes to therapy. And it's not therapy in general, it's just certain therapists that are just not equipped to teach you how to really actually change fundamentally within, how to accept and own responsibility, how to really parent yourself. Not saying that every single therapist doesn't know how to teach this stuff. No, a lot of them absolutely do. And therapy is great for a multitude of reasons. But if you are going and you feel stuck or you feel as though you have gone for years and nothing is really changing, this is why. So you may have learned how to tap into your feelings, which again is a skill and it's something that you didn't know how to do before. So in that case, therapy is great. You're tapping into your emotions, you're tapping into how you feel. But what you're not learning how to do is to trust yourself with your feelings, with your emotions, with your fears, with your worries, with your stressors, to be able to navigate through them. You're still relying heavily on this person or other people to hold that space for you to be able to help you to navigate through what it is that you're going through. So what you're not learning how to do for yourself is detach. So no one's teaching you, and you're definitely not practicing how to detach from your own mind, your own thoughts. Now, this is a big one, because if no one teaches you how to do this, you're going to absolutely stay stuck, because you already are in a cycle, in a habit. You're already programmed to do this, and you're just going to continue the cycle over and over again. So no one's teaching you how your brain works. No one's teaching you how thoughts are produced. No one's teaching you about the trauma that you've been through that's causing you to have these thoughts and keep you stuck. So number one, you should have definitely been taught that 90% of the thoughts that your mind is going to produce are going to try to keep you safe, and those thoughts are going to come from past traumatic experiences that are still unhealed. Next, you should have been taught that those thoughts are actually not real. They're just being produced to keep you safe. And the more you actually continuously feed those thoughts, the more the jealousy, the anger, the frustration, the anxiety, the worry is just going to continue in your life, because you can't talk yourself out of not feeling worried, scared, nervous, anxious, jealous, etc. You can't talk yourself out of those states. All you can really do is acknowledge that the thought's there, detach from it, and then take a different action. It's action that you need to learn how to do, and not just always talking yourself out of how you feel. So when you don't do that, and you're unconsciously feeding thoughts, thinking that the more you think about something, the more you're going to be able to solve this problem or talk yourself off the ledge or whatever that looks like. And now, don't get me wrong, there are days where you can very much tell yourself, no, we're not going there, and that's not going to happen. And you can talk yourself kind of out of something. But when something has enough emotional hold over you, when the thought comes from a traumatic experience or an unhealed experience that is just a real deep wound, you talking yourself through something is really not going to work. What's going to really work is you actually taking action, and you doing the thing that you're scared to do in order to break the cycle of this thought reappearing constantly over and over again. Because you see, this thought is so powerful because you have unconsciously fed it for a very long time. Now it has power, and now it has control over you, and it knows that. And so that's why it keeps knocking at your door. That's why it keeps picking at you. That's why that thought keeps coming up time and time again. When you start to see that the more you react to that thought with continuous worry and stress and anxiety, etc., the more that the thought just grows and it becomes real. You actually end up manifesting your biggest fears, because you are feeding that fear to come into reality, versus you being able to acknowledge that it's there, detach from it, and do something different. Now, that's a skill, and that's something that you definitely have to practice. And that's something that's not always taught in therapy. And when you get stuck, it's because you're not, either they did teach you it and you're not practicing it, and so you have to now be accountable and take responsibility for that, or you just were never taught these things in general, because all you're really ever receiving is just validation. The only thing that can really change thought pattern is behavior, change action, doing something different, and repetition. Yes, don't get me wrong, the more you keep in a repetition of a thought, the more that's going to help you. And you need absolutely a combination of two things. You need a combination of the repetition of saying something over and over again, something empowering, something positive, something motivating, something helpful, and not something that's just going to continuously hurt you. And you also need to actually take action, because if you're not going to take action, then the thought is just going to continuously be knocking on the door, trying to get you to be safe by not doing the thing that you're really scared of. So if you're never given any of these tools, and if you're not educated on how your mind works, and if you don't even understand what trauma you've been through, what you're holding on inside of you, what's causing you all of this fear, what is it? Is it abandonment? Have you been betrayed? Have you been let down? Have you just not learned how to actually be a healthy adult? Like, what is the trauma that you've been through? And by the way, we go through trauma throughout the course of our life. Obviously, the most significant trauma is the trauma that happens in childhood, whether it's abandonment. And it was so significant that, yes, you can still get abandoned when you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s or whatever, but it is that initial trauma that stayed with you that just, every other trauma after that just keeps adding into the pile. So what you want to really understand is, what have you been through that's still staying stuck in you? That's where you kind of like sit on the couch and you dive deep into your past. And this is where you can absolutely learn a ton of things about why you are the way you are, why this person is the way they are, which is extremely helpful. But then what do you do about it? And that's kind of where coaching sometimes is really solely focused on moving forward. I know for me personally, I don't often talk too much about the past and why someone is the way they are and what happened. I'll give them an overview. I'll obviously educate them, but we're not going to stay stuck there. We're not going to validate all day long. We're obviously not going to play the victim all day long. We're going to learn what you need to learn in order to empower yourself, to help yourself mentally and emotionally to move yourself forward so you can achieve goals, so you can not react by people when they say things, so you can not get triggered, so you can heal some of your anxiety, so you can start to feel confident in yourself. That's what this is all about. So if you're not getting what you need out of anything, coaching, therapy, whatever, you definitely need to find someone else that's going to help you, to give you the tools to be able to move yourself forward. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.